Welcome to Endless Learning Training Series, the membrane-based desalination technology.
In this presentation we will study about types of instrument, air compressors, and its compression ratio, capacity range, CFM, pressure range, PSI, of all type of compressors. Types of instrument air compressors, compressor types, is divided into positive displacement, dynamic compressors. Positive displacement compressors are a type of compressor that work by trapping a specific volume of air and then reducing that volume to increase the pressure. Physically displacing the air into a smaller volume, hence the term positive displacement. Dynamic compressors are a type of compressor that work by imparting kinetic energy to the air or gas using high-speed rotating elements. Unlike positive displacement compressors, dynamic compressors do not trap a fixed volume of air. Instead, they rely on the continuous flow of air through the compressor. Types of instrument air compressors. Positive displacement, divided into reciprocating, rotary. Positive displacement, divided into two type, reciprocating, rotary. Reciprocating air compressors. Working principle: these compressors use a piston within a cylinder to compress air. The piston moves down, creating a vacuum that draws air into the cylinder. As the piston moves up, it compresses the air, increasing its pressure. Rotary screw air compressors. Working principle: these compressors use two meshing helical screws, known as rotors, to compress air. As the rotors turn, air is trapped between them and the casing, gradually reducing the volume and increasing the pressure. Screw rotary compressor. These compressors use two meshing helical screws, known as rotors, to compress air. As the rotors turn, air is trapped between them and the casing, gradually reducing the volume and increasing the pressure. Compression ratio, typically between 3:1 and 10:1. Capacity range, 10 to 5,000 CFM. Pressure range, 90 to 250 PS. Vane, rotary compressor. These compressors use a slotted rotor with vanes that slide in and out. As the rotor spins, the vanes trap air and reduce its volume, thereby increasing the pressure. Compression ratio, typically between 6:1 and 10:1. Capacity range, 10 to 500 CFM, pressure range, 70 to 150 PSI. Lobe, rotary compressor. These compressors use two rotating lobes to compress air. As the lobes turn, they trap air in pockets and transport it from the intake to the discharge side, where the volume reduction increases pressure. Compression ratio, typically between 1:1 and 3:1. Capacity range, 100 to 10,000 CFM. Pressure range, 5 to 15 PSI. Liquid ring, rotary compressor. These compressors use a liquid, typically water, to form a ring inside the compressor casing to compress air or gas. They are known for their ability to handle wet gas mixtures and their relatively simple, robust design. Compression ratio, typically between 1.5:1 to 10:1. Capacity range, 10 to 20,000 CFM. Pressure range, 15 to 200 PSI. Reciprocating compressor. Types: single acting. These compressors use the piston moves downwards, creating a vacuum that draws air into the cylinder through the intake valve. The piston moves upwards, compressing the air as the intake valve closes. The compressed air is then pushed out through the discharge valve. Compression ratio typically ranges from 7 to 1 to 9 to 1. Capacity range 1 to 100 CFM. Pressure range up to 150 psi, 10 bar. Reciprocating compressor divided into double acting. These compressors use the piston compresses air on both sides of its stroke. As the piston moves downwards, it compresses the air below it while drawing in air above it. As it moves upwards, it compresses the air above it while drawing in air below it. Compression ratio typically ranges from 7 to 1 to 9 to 1. Capacity range 10 to 5000 CFM. Pressure range up to 300 psi, 20 bar. Reciprocating compressor divided into multi-stage. These compressors use air is compressed in multiple stages, with each stage having its own cylinder. The air is initially compressed in the first stage and then passed through intercoolers to reduce its temperature before being compressed further in subsequent stages. Compression ratio up to 15 to 1 or higher. Capacity range 10 to 5000 CFM. Pressure range up to 6000 psi, 414 bar, or higher. Reciprocating compressor divided into diaphragm. These compressors use a flexible diaphragm is moved up and down by a crankshaft. The diaphragm compresses the air within a sealed chamber, ensuring the compressed air remains free from oil and other contaminants. Compression ratio typically ranges from 3 to 1 to 6 to 1. Capacity range 1 to 100 CFM. Pressure range up to 250 psi, 17 bar.
Thank you for watching this video.